Hello everybody, we're going to be doing some looking at knives today here. I've got a Buck 110, a Uncle Henry. It's about the same thing as this Schrade T70. It is a, let's just look at this here, an lb8, if you can see that. So basically it's like I said, same thing. It has the stag grips versus the old saw cut or whatever you call that. You can see that. There we go. Yep, see that? It makes for a pretty nice grip. If you're looking for a video that says, hey, Buck sucks, buy a Schrade, or hey, Schrade sucks, buy a Buck, this is the wrong video. You need to find another video. This is a little more in-depth. You need a few minutes to watch this thing. I'm not biased per knife or saying, hey, definitely buy one over the other. I think these three right here are three of the best knives money can buy. These two are basically the same knife. Like I said, let's look at the sheath real quick. We'll start there. So this has got the cutback. Instead of sewing a piece on, they just make a slit in the leather, and you run your belt through there. I personally think that's my favorite style because you don't have any stitches, and it'll hold it a little closer to your body. Stitching in the side is great on these. This is an older one. I got this when I was about 12 years old, I think. It was a gift from my grandpa. It's pretty much been in the safe its whole life. It's been on my belt maybe 2 or 3 times. It's one of those that if I tear it up, I can't get it back, so I'm not going to carry it or use it. But I will definitely use it for the video. So as you can see, we got a brown sheath here, and this is just like this knife came out of the box, other than being as tarnished as you can get. It's been in the sheath for years. Listen to that click, though. That's how a knife should sound right there. When you open that thing up, it needs to sound solid. This one has not really been sharpened much. It's dull. So take that into account. The fitment on these knives, on the handles and stuff, if you can see that there, let me get into focus. Along there and along here is beautiful. These knives were very well made. Right here you can see that fits perfect. There's no raised spots. There's nothing like that. The pins don't stick out. There's no big gaps or anything like that. You can feel over it with your finger. The fitment's very nice. As for blade wiggle, let me see if I can get that. There's no blade wiggle. Now you got to have a little bit because there's moving parts, obviously. If it was solid and tight, then there would be no way to make it move. So to close these, please be very careful when you're handling these kind of knives. They are extremely sharp usually. As I said, this one's a little dull, but they're extremely sharp. Place your finger on the back of the blade and your thumb on top, away from the cutting edge. Push that button in the back. Bring all your fingers and toes and thumbs and everything else out of the way, and then close it. And you can hear that click. That's how that thing should sound. That is a real American knife right there. And it's actually stamped in the blade, made in USA. If you can get that, there you go. So, on to the Uncle Henry. Like I said, same knife basically. The sheath on this one is a little prettier. Look at that coloring in there. You got a beautiful black border on this one, where this one's just your raw leather. This one's had a little more dye put into it. This is a great dress knife, Sunday knife, whatever. That's what I use it for, weddings, funerals, taking your girl out to eat. Black snap versus the silver, not going to draw quite as much of attention. This is sewn on the back, and I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong, that's not coming off of there anytime soon. If you can hear that, there's a little bit of rattle in there. Same thing with that one, a little bit of rattle. Nice tight snap on both of these. It's good leather. I mean, that sheath is definitely going to hold up for many, many years. The stitches on this are just phenomenal all the way around. Excuse me. It says Uncle Henry right here in the top, same as the Schrade. Says Schrade on the top, and as you can see, the Buck, same thing. They all want their name on them. Onto the knife. This is, like I said, basically the same knife as this one. You've just got stag grips and no emblem. As you can see right there, the rivets are all in the same place. And then I believe there's 2 of them in the back. I know there is on the Schrade. You can't see them on this one. They've actually finally polished them so well. But anyway, beside the point, it's got the thumb notch right there, same as the other one. The fitment of these grips is beautiful. There's a black line in there, but that is not because it's pulling away. As you can see, I can't sink my nail in there. I think it's a glue or an epoxy or something in there. They're very well made. Very sturdy, very good click. All the way around there. There's your name, Uncle Henry and the blade. Brass bolsters on both ends of both of these. Very tight lockup. Blade's not coming out. On the back, you can see fitment's perfect. Fitment's perfect here, the blade. I've seen a lot of chintzy knives where there's a big gap there, or you can feel a rough edge, something like that. Not on these. They take a lot of time in these knives. They're not just stamping them out to throw them in a shipping container. Clip point blade on all of these, which is some love and some hate. Personally, I think they have their place. I like a drop point too, for different reasons. These are nice if you're hunting. They make a great knife all the way around. And they fold up nice so you can carry them, and you don't have some big, huge knife hanging off your belt. Just an overall view of that one. And that one. And the bolsters on this one are a lot shinier because, like I said, it's a lot newer, a lot more wear, actually, believe it or not. Now we get on to the Buck 110, brass button on the front, or brass snap. They started the original folding knife. They started this style. They're the original ones. And I've heard this is the most copied knife ever built. So you got your sewn-on piece here, and again, that's not going anywhere. This piece was up here. They sewed on the bottom here, and then they folded that back down and sewed the bottom on. So it gives it even a different style than the Uncle Henry here, as you can see that. So my only complaint with this is it does hang a little farther away from your body. Not a big deal, but it's just something I noticed. As you can see on both of these, look how much leather is not on is on the Uncle Henry versus the Buck. So when you're walking through the woods and something catches there versus catches there, it's just a little bit more unhandy. And that's why I said this makes a great dress knife. It's super sharp looking. This is a sleeker, smaller sheath, which I'm sure, I'm not recommending this, but if you knew what you were doing, you could cut this down to whatever you wanted and make it as sleek as you wanted. But this one comes that way. Stitching in this thing is phenomenal. They took a lot of time on this sheath. And my favorite part is the rivets on both sides. You're basically going to have to wear the leather out before you really do much to the sheath, and good luck with that. You can see it's got some belt wear. 110 stamped in the rear. And that's a good tight snap on that thing. Onto the knife, we got brass bolsters on both ends. I think they copied this, so it's, how it is. 2 rivets on the rear of this one, or 2 pins. The other ones only have 1. I don't know if that matters to anybody or not. 2 rivets in the rear, same. 1 rotating pin in the front. Listen to that snap. That's how it's supposed to be. So, basically the same blade. This is a little lighter than the others. The old timer is just, as you can see, it's a little bit bigger, bulkier. Bigger doesn't necessarily mean better quality, but it is, they're about the same weight. But, as you can see, it's just a hint bigger. Just a little longer. And a little thicker. Not quite as rounded on the edges. Again, that's just personal preference. I don't think one knife is necessarily better than the other one. And I don't think you should say one sucks because, you like the other one. But fitment on this, again, is just phenomenal. You can see all up in there. The lockup is super tight, no blade wiggle hardly at all. Fitment on the back here, just great. And I need to polish this one up and clean it up. Actually, I need to do them all, but you know how that is. So, if I was going to pick one, I don't know which one it would be. I like all three of them about the same. The old timer was a gift from my grandpa, as I said. It's got a lot of sentimental value to it. The stag grips, I am a huge fan of. Absolutely, I'm a kind of a gun guy, and ivory's my favorite. Stag is definitely my second favorite. The Buck 110 is the one that everybody knows. It's the original one. Great quality knife. There's nothing wrong with any of these, and I'm not going to say I like one over the other, and I'm not being sponsored or anything for this video. I was looking for a video on the same matter and could not find anything. So here's a couple copies of the Buck 110. As you can see, this is a, see if I can get it to focus here. China. There you go, stainless china. The fitment's actually not bad. That thing is paper thin though. You do not want to have that out in the woods if that is what you're relying on. If you can see that, the blade wiggle is ridiculous. I found that in the bottom of one of my tackle boxes. Here's a little version of the Buck 110. That's cute. But again, just not the high quality knife that the Buck 110 is. The line right there is not right. You can see there's just some little, I don't know why that thing won't focus. There's just some little stuff, just not near the quality. And this one's Pakistan. There you can see it. You just don't have the same quality. Here's another 70T, and this is from the same grandpa. Me and him were cleaning out a truck one time and found this knife in there, and he let me keep it. As you can see, the tip's been broken off. It was like that when I got it, and I just kind of rounded it out. And I've actually dressed a few deer with this and some other stuff. These, I've actually have experience with these knives, and they are great. This one I have not used much yet. That one I've carried a little bit. Like I said, it's kind of a dress knife. This one I have put plenty of miles on to say I know it's a good knife. The sheath was junk when I got it, and I have since lost it. That being said, the sheath is not why you buy the knife. That is a phenomenal knife. You could throw that in a backpack, in a pocket, keep the sheath, get a sheath, whatever. These knives are, I really think this is three of the best knives, and I don't have a case hammerhead here. I really wish I did. I've been considering getting one, and if I do, I'll get you another video up of that. These are three of the best knives money can buy, though. One is not necessarily better than the other. It's about what you like. If it was me going to say which one should I buy, I would go ask your dad or your grandpa which one he carried. Because if he carried an old timer, chances are you're going to like an old timer. If he carried a buck, chances are you're going to need to buy a buck. So that's that. And I'm gonna do some more videos on different kinds of I guess old guy knives. So if you'd like to stay tuned for that, that'd be great. Thanks.